Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the show that gives you the best of high school debates. This is the Great Debaters Contest Season 9, Western Region, Kakamega County. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperantia Kapanga. In today's debate, the motion is strict age regulations should be enforced to ensure youths get leadership positions.
In the proposition, we have the ladies from Tigoi girls who are defending champions of Season 8, Kakamega County.
In the opposition, we have our host school, Kakamega School. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make your statements.
My name is Wilda Magenya from Friends School Tigoi Girls in full proposition of the motion that says strict age regulation should be enforced to ensure youths get leadership position. This motion is in line with SDG number 10 that talks about reduced inequality. Audience, allow me to define for you the key terms in this motion. According to Hans Rosling, an American demographer, in his book, Factfulness clearly defines strict age regulation as observing the minimum and maximum legal age limit a person is allowed to take part in any activity. Take an example of Kenya, where the retirement age is 60 years. Anota Shinyasa, a Kenyan demographer, in his book, Population Resource, clearly defines a youth as a person between the age of 18 and 35 years. Leadership positions are such as managerial position in institutions such as banks and gubernatorial seats, amongst others. Some of the youth leaders in our society are Honorable John Paul Murigi, MP of Igembe South, Stare MP, Charles Jaguar, Mark Zuckerberg, the Chief Executive Officer of Facebook. As the proposers, we are advocating for enforcement of strict age regulations. And this takes me to my first point. Enforcement of strict age regulation will provide employment and job opportunities amongst youths. This is in line with SDG number 8 that talks about decent work and economic growth. According to a report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics in 2016, revealed that Kenyans, 30 millions are unemployed. Out of these 30 millions, 25 million, and I repeat, 25 million Kenyans are the youths. The youths are the majority. Let us enforce enforcement of strict age regulations for the betterment of our youths. My second point, enforcement of strict age regulation will provide the same youth with the needed experience needed in the job market. If you are a keen reader of newspaper, you will often see when companies want to hire people, they will often say that this person must have a job experience of 2 to 3 years. Surely Kenyans, where do you expect these youths to get experience from? Yet the old people who are supposed to retire at the age of 60 years want to retire at the age of 70 years. Let us be sensible. According to a report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics in 2016, revealed that most of the youths are locked out of the job market because of lack of experience. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Successful generals make plans to fit circumstances. They don't create situations in order to solve them. From the Government African School, my name is Emmanuel Bright, ready to oppose the motion that states strict age regulations should be enforced to create job opportunities for the youth. Let me get you into the context of this motion. Strict refers to the strongly limitation of somebody's freedom to behave the way he or she wants to. Age, the period or the time that someone has been alive. Regulation refers to the official rules or acts of controlling something. Should is a modal auxiliary verb that means obligation. Be, happen in a particular time or place. Ensure, to make something happen. Leadership, set of characteristics that make a good leader. Position, a rank or a level in an institution or a society. This definition has been sourced from the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, the 8th edition, and it has further been reinforced with the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary. Now, with age comes experience. With time comes wisdom. And this is what draws the line between a veteran and a youth. What am I simply saying? Veterans have experience. Let us look at an example of our own. His Excellency, former President Mwai Kibaki. In 2002 and 2012, it was reported that the GDP, the gross domestic product, rose from 2 points to 6 points. Further, the economic growth of Kenya shot from 0.6 to 7.1. See, this is SDG number 8, which states that decent work and economic growth, for example. Do you know that Mwai Kibaki, during his reign, it is when that the Thika superhighway was constructed? Do you know that that is infrastructure? On to my second point. They set a good example. They are the trailblazers. They are the people we are supposed to look at. Let us look at an example of Emmanuel Macron. He is the president of France. You know, on the 13th of 2019, he came to Kenya and went to State House. The president offered Macron to use the vehicle. But instead, what did he do? He chose to use a bicycle. Why? Because the vehicles pollute the environment. Hence, supporting the SDG goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Thank you. I stand here to represent Maina Chege, who is a youth in the modern society. I stand here to represent Chris Boru, who is a youth in the modern society. I stand here to represent Nasimio Kapanga, who is a youth in the modern society. My name is Lucky Kilungu from Friends School Tigoi Girls, here to fully propose the motion that says strict age regulations should be enforced to ensure youths get leadership positions. Allow me cross-check what the opposers have just said. Emmanuel Bright, you're trying to lie to these people. Emmanuel Bright, you're misleading us by saying that with age comes experience. Where is innovation? Where is it? And you talked about a report. Did the report indicate who led to the rise of the GDP? And I'd like to carry on one thing. Emmanuel Macron is a youth. My first point. The youths have a constitutional right to leadership, and thus enforcement of strict age regulations will ensure that the rights of the youths are promoted. The Kenyan Constitution of 2010, Chapter 4, Section 55, Sub-Article 3B states that the state shall take up measures including affirmative action programs to ensure that the youths have opportunities to be represented, to associate, to participate in both political, social, economic, and other spheres of life, including the access to employment. Our opponents. The Kenyan Constitution is the supreme law, and what it can tell you is that it must be respected, as for nobody is above the law. SDG number 16, peace, justice, and strong institution. My second point, enforcement of strict age regulations will ensure that the cultures, their beliefs, the practices, and the norms of an organization are transmitted from one age to another. I'll give a very good example, my audience, of a school. Let me call it School X. In this school, my audience, we have teachers and workers aged between 56 to 60 years. These teachers and workers have less than 4 years in service. Now, I want you to take a minute and think of what will happen to this school when all these teachers and these workers exit service at once. There will be no cultural continuity. The Sunday Nation newspaper of 7th July 2017 tells you, the opposers, that the two leading political parties in America, the Democrat and the Republican, both have a youth wing to ensure this cultural continuity in their political parties. And believe you me, the same has also been done in Kenya under the Jubilee and the ODM parties. My audience, I want us to rise up today and say that strict age regulations should be enforced. Rise up and support me in this motion. Strict age regulations should be enforced. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
Opposing the motion that states strict age regulations should be enforced to ensure youth get leadership positions. My dear proposer, we cannot rise up and join you in supporting this statement. Why? Emmanuel Bright said that the GDP rose during Mwai Kibaki's era, who is a veteran. You asked, how did it come in? It was because of his energy as a veteran. The first proposer talked of SDG number 10, reduced inequalities. Well, if we are trying to get these old people, these veterans out of these positions, how are we going to achieve reduced inequalities? They have experience. That's why we still need these people. You are going further and telling us that we need to obey our constitution. Well, I wish to inform you that we have two constitutions, the one that was promulgated in 2010 and the initial one. So which one are we following? I think you're following before 2010, and that's why you are still lagging behind. Moving on to the motion, why do we need veterans as our leaders? Ladies and gentlemen, veterans have vision. Let's not just stick to Africa, but let's go to a higher stake and cross the borders and still focus on the France President Emmanuel Macron. Within months of taking office, I'll wish to tell you that he cut tax by 6.1%. 6.1% of companies. Well, by doing that, he was fostering SDG goal number 9, which states industry innovation and infrastructure. During his era, the France president, due to his leadership skills, who is a veteran, France's gross domestic product rose by 1.5%. It is a first world country. So you can imagine a first world country rising a GDP by 1.5% under the leadership of who? A veteran. Don't they have vision? Further, within 12 months while he was in office, he ensured that 89,000 of the people of the France population was employed from the initial 1.2 million people who were unemployed under his leadership. What was he fostering? SDG goal number 8, which states decent work and economic growth, because they were able to earn a source of income for themselves. Let's come back to our own country. On 17th May 2019, Cleo Malala, who is a youth at 34 years in coordination with Rashid Echesa and Matungu Mayoni, MCA representative, were arrested by DCI detectives on the ground of inciting youth who were involved in Matungu killings. Well, I'm trying to say they may not just be ready. That's why he was arrested. We are looking at the brighter future of our nation. We need a brighter Kenya, and a brighter Kenya can only be achieved by veterans and not these youth people. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked. They stated that 25 million youth are out there unemployed. And right now, they are championing for age restrictions so that people can retire and get out of jobs for these youth to get the same jobs. So are they saying that there's 25 million leaders out there that need to retire to make these spaces for the youth? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked. They stated that good leadership comes with experience. Yet they are saying that veterans are the ones who need to lead for us to develop. In that case, how will the youth become good leaders if they are not given a chance to get experience? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to respond.
My audience and fellow debaters, I am a Kenyan youth in my country. Therefore, I have good skills of a leader. I should be given an opportunity to take part in leadership. My name is Regina Mwanisa from Friends School Tigoi Girls, here to strongly propose on the motion that states strict age regulations should be enforced to ensure youth get leadership positions. I will start by answering the question that has been posed to me by the audience. My audience, leadership does not mean being in a managerial seat only. Leadership is being in charge. A watchman at the gate is in charge. A cleaner of this room is in charge. So we are saying as the proposers that our leaders should not be only those ones who get these posts. My first point is enforcement of strict age regulations reduces generational conflict. My audience, what is generational conflict? Generational conflict, these are the ideological differences between two groups of different ages. My audience, this will help to dispel the notion and the famous quote, allow me quote in Swahili, kazi kwa vijana, malipo kwa wazee. Surely, my audience, let's say in our National Assembly, we have the youths and we have the elderly working together. These people will bring to an end generational conflict. An example, in our National Assembly, we have young youths who have worked hand in hand with those who have advanced in age, and they've brought about a great change. An example, according to www.nationalassembly.com, these leaders are 1. Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, the MP of Igembe South, only 24 years old. 2. Honorable Babu Owino, the MP of Embakasi East, only 29 years old. Yet they've brought about a great change in our nation. My second point is enforcement of strict age regulations will ensure that the interests of the youths are represented and taken care of. My audience, take an example of this senator who is in the age bracket of 18 to 35 years. This young senator is able to represent the interests of the youth more than this senator who is 60 years and above, because this young senator faces the same challenges as the youths. My audience, a very good example is according to the Kenyan Constitution, Chapter 8, Article 98. It states that 2 members will be nominated, a woman and a man, to represent the interests of the youths. And they should be between the age of 18 to 35 years. I strongly propose this motion. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Albert Einstein, one of the brightest minds to ever grace the earth, once said that mental growth only ceases on the day of one's death. I am simply using this quote to say that old is gold, and indeed experience beats inexperience in the development of any given nation, institution, or setting. My name is Paul Muhisa Kitui from the Government African School. In reply to the question about the youth being given more chances, remember that you have to start from somewhere. Veterans like Anyang' Nyong'o and James Orengo began their leadership journey in the university. They were student leaders, and they are now established leaders in our society. The first proposer mentioned Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you for mentioning Mark Zuckerberg. He is the founder and CEO of Facebook, and he leads a global institution that has employed thousands of people. I know about Mark Zuckerberg. I know that Mark Zuckerberg has a current net worth of $71 billion. He is actually 5th in the world. Thank you very much for mentioning that. But all the 4 men above him, namely Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon, we have Bill Gates, we have Warren Buffett, and we have Carlos Slim. These are also men that are established. They are older than Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is 34, but these men are over 60. So we do not refuse that the youthful population is able. We are simply saying that the older population is able, and the older population poses greater numbers towards the development scale. Now, people like Lee Kuan Yew, who was a former president of Singapore, drove the country for 30 years from a third world country to a first world country. He died at the age of 90. He ruled from 60. These are 30 years of golden experience displayed in a country's development. Someone mentioned Mwai Kibaki. You talked about his achievements. We also have our host governor, His Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. Oparanya has launched the new referral hospital worth $6 billion shillings. It is the largest referral hospital in the Western region. You mentioned about the Republicans. We have the leader of the Republicans in the United States, Donald J. Trump. He is currently 74 years old, but he's doing a very good job. 1.5 million new jobs were created for Americans in his first year of rule. So that simply reaffirms the credibility that indeed the older population stand a better chance of ruling than the younger population. To my first point, the youth leaders may be irrational in making decisions, even if they have the right intentions. I will take the example of Stephen Sang. Stephen Sang, who is an MP in Narok, was involved in an alleged tea estate destruction. He had the intention of giving people back their land, but he instead used unlawful means to acquire the land. The intention is good, but the lack of maturity to approaching a certain given situation is the one that declines. Thank you very much.
Proposers, you have 1 minute for a final statement.
Audience, I have pictures of Honorable John Paul Murigi, the youngest member in the National Assembly, the member of Parliament of Igembe South. This man, do you think if there were no enforcement of strict age regulation, Honorable John Paul Murigi could have easily become a member of Parliament? Kakamega School, I'm asking you, do you think if there was no enforcement of strict age regulations, people like Charles Jaguar could have a position in the National Assembly? That is why, as the proposers, we are here to advocate for enforcement of strict age regulations. We have youths such as Honorable Charles Jaguar, the MP of Sarai, at the age of 33 years, is the member of Parliament. We have the famous comedian Chipukizi, at the age of 28 years, he is a member in the board of Nakada because of strict age regulations. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute for a final submission.
As very strong and able antagonists of the motion, we are not complicating things. We are simply saying that the older population is more capable and have a higher credibility of leading a country to greater heights. We have talked about veteran experience, mentioning that the old is indeed gold. We have the older population that sets good example. They are also innovative. Just because someone is old does not mean that they're innovative. We have that they have a wider experience in the market. They know how things work, generally speaking. You cannot have a youth trying to beat an old and established person in the game of knowledge. It is not possible. We are simply saying that the youthful leaders are not in the wrong position. They simply lack the maturity to approach matters, even though with the best intention, in a sane and rational way. You gave an example of Jaguar. Jaguar was involved in a physical brawl in the parliament against Babu Owino. We are simply saying that the older population is more competent and capable of leading a nation in any given institution. Thank you very much.
Both of you appeared well researched. And therefore, the mark of a difference that will come in this is as a result of your manner and style of presentation. I would want to look at it, and you know that it is important that when we are listening to you, we get some kind of variation. which helps us to digest given information and key into the emphasis of the situations and facts you are presenting. And this goes to Tigoi. Your presentation was dramatic, entertaining. It arrested me. But one thing, at times I could not know what you said before. Why? Because of your manner and speed of presentation. But I want to commend you. I was waiting to find out where one of you is going to fall short of the next thing to say. Here, I want to say you did a commendable job in the way you carried yourself with the points. But consider that variation.
Government Africa School. That's a new one. Very well done, gentlemen. I think I appreciate that. I think the only thing I would want you to, I think that was bright. The Macron bicycle example, it did not hit in relation to the motion, okay? So you want to finalize it so that at least it gets home. Maloba as well referred to Macron at some point, so I was still wondering. Paul, actually you stood out for me. You come out to me as a very bright guy because you easily rebuttal even things that are just popping up in the motions, and that was commendable. All is gold, I still remember that. And 30 golden years with Lee.
Okay, and for such a heated debate, you only expect a very, very, very narrow margin. And so with a difference of 0.2 between the teams, Kakamega High School, the judges awarded you 72.4%. Let's give them a round of applause. Friends School Tigoi, the judges awarded you 72.2%, making Kakamega the winners of this debate. Félicitations to both schools, a job very well done.
Let's keep the conversation going live and active with our hashtag GDC for SDGs as we continue the talk around sustainable development goals. We'd like to appreciate each and every person who's been able to make this show a reality, from the principals to the patrons and the students of each and every participating school. That's all from us here at the Great Debaters Contest. See you in the next episode. I've been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga.